Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So I'm going to put together another odds and ends video for you guys this week. Once again, we got some viewer mail that has come in I want to share with you guys, and also some more shop updates on the new shop that we're building out here at my house. So I'm really excited about that, and really excited to see some more progress being made toward completion. So I've had a big surge in subscribers this past week. Not exactly sure what's driving that. I kind of dug into my analytics trying to figure out where exactly people were coming from, and really wasn't able to make a lot of heads and tails out of it. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. We appreciate you being here. Glad you found us, and hope that you'll stick around. And for those guys that are a little bit new to my channel, I'll just say, you know, and I've mentioned this in the past, my odds and ends series, this is more me talking about tools, talking about what's going on, talking about viewer mail that comes in, etc., etc. Whereas I usually also try to put together more shop-related video of a project of some type being going on. And the odds and ends series is kind of just whenever I have something to post, whereas I try real hard, and I don't always get to do this, but I try real hard to put out some type of shop content video on Friday mornings. Usually if I have an odds and ends, I try to put those out on Mondays, but there's some variability in that. But the Friday thing we try real hard for. So again, welcome my new subscribers, and we'll get into some viewer mail and then go out and take a look at the shop. So you guys remember back about a month or so ago, we were making some dividing head plates for my Kearney Tracker dividing head for a gear cutting job I had coming up. And one of my viewers, Dave, contacted me not long after we got into that project and said, you know what, I've got out in my shop some dividing head plates. And I think they may be the ones that fit your dividing head. So he took some pictures, made some measurements, and sure enough, after going to all the trouble to make those dividing head plates, Dave comes out and he's got 4 dividing head plates for the K&T. So, and he sends them to me, which is awesome. Thank you, Dave. So the funny thing is somebody commented, I've been looking for plates for this dividing head now for months, and somebody commented, says, you know, as soon as you make those plates, you're going to find some. And he was right. He was right. So what do we have here? So there was 4 plates that he sent me all together. And when he told me I had 4 plates, I assumed that 3 of them would be the common plates, the ones you use all the time, and then maybe one of the oddball plates, the special plates. Well, one of the plates was indeed one of the 3 that you use all the time. And just like with my luck, it happens to be the only one of the 3 that came with my dividing head. So this is actually a duplicate plate for me now. And the other 3 are the specialty plates that you very, very seldom would ever even have a use for, but it's nice to have. And one thing that I found interesting when I looked at the originals is look at the difference in the size of the holes, the index holes between the 3 main plates and these other plates. These other plates are much more holes in there. And when Mike Wiggins was drilling the holes for me and the ones that he made, because he made these 3 plates for me, I don't have them yet. He still has them. But he told me, he said, you know, man, these holes are getting kind of close together on some of these. Like this round right here, there's 101 holes in that circle. And when you drill them out to this size, they get really close to one another. What I don't really quite fully understand is how you use these plates, because the pin that's in my dividing head is this size, and I haven't taken it apart to see if you can turn it around, but I think you actually have to change out that little pin to use these plates here, these special plates, and I don't have that. So I may actually be using the plates that Mike made or drilled the holes for me. I made the plates and then he drilled the holes on the CNC mill, but might be using those just because they work better. So we'll see. Still, the 2 plates that go of the 3 main ones, I've got those now. In fact, one of them is set up on my dividing head, and I was using it this week, and you guys will probably be seeing a video on that coming up pretty soon on a gear repair job, which is really why we got that going. But anyway, Dave, thanks for sending along some dividing head plates, And he told me, he said, in addition to plates, I got some other goodies I'm going to throw in the box. So we'll go through those as well. So first off here, we got a couple of adjustable reamers. This one says 1 in 25 30 seconds to 2 in 3 30 seconds. There's the range on that one. And this one is 1 in 15 30 seconds to 1 in 11 16ths on these. So, you know, they're old, but they appear to be sharp. They appear to be in good shape. They don't look like they've been abused. And these will be nice. You know, I've mentioned it before. Adjustable reamers sometimes get a bad rap because people say, well, they're just not precision. But when you're doing machine repair work, sometimes you really need to just make a hole a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, and getting to an exact size isn't as important to getting it just cleaned up and round, and you can make something to fit whatever you do. So I actually use these a lot, and I've only got a few sizes, and these will go very well in my collection that I have. So we'll be putting those up with my other ones. And there's more stuff here in the box. Sitting along a stack of magnets here. Oh, look at there. So those are always handy to have around the shop for sticking stuff up or whatever. Those right there will definitely come in handy. And let's see, sent along some grinding discs to go on a angle grinder. These are always, you know, those are consumables. You go through those left and right, so those will definitely come in handy. And then there's a bunch of mystery parts in here that, I mean, this I think goes to the change gears on some kind of lathe. Who knows? Again, I think this is part of a change gear mechanism off of a lathe. These all look like they came off of the same machine. It looks like a little bronze nut maybe that went with the lathe as well. It doesn't really give us any, it says reverse tumbler. It doesn't say what kind of machine it went off of. This is part number is L3-21A. This one is L0-25. This is L3-27. So if anybody knows what these parts go to, or if anybody has a need for these parts, by all means, let me know, because I would love to get these to a good home where someone can use them. For me, they're just extra parts laying around, but I would not be surprised if somebody out there says, hey, I know exactly what that goes to, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody out there viewing this channel actually needs these parts. And if you do, like I said, let me know. So thanks a lot. Some great items here. Greatly appreciated, particularly dividing head plates. We can definitely use those. All this we can use except for this, and hopefully we're going to find a good home for this stuff. So I had some questions about the vertical head for the Model 2H Kerner Trekkie that I have out here at the museum. That's my mill. And anyway, I wanted to take a couple of minutes and just address these. So someone had asked about the inside gear in here and wanted to know how many teeth that gear had. And so I thought we'd just look at it and count it. First off, I wanted to make a comment. We had a lot of people commenting, hey, did you grease the gears when you put the gear in here to drive this, because they were thinking that maybe the noise that we were hearing was from the lack of any lubrication. Well, as you can see, the amount of grease that's on that gear there, I haven't touched it. That was pretty much what was on there. And if you look right down here, there's some grease hanging out. There's actually a grease zerk on the other side, and I pumped it up, and when you do that, it basically lubes this gear on the inside. And they did that so you don't have to take the whole head off to lubricate the gear. You can give it some shots. If you set up for a production job for a long time, you may not pull this thing off very regularly. So it had plenty of grease on it. So let's count the teeth. So we'll start right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32. So that's a 32 tooth gear in there for whoever was that was wanting to know that. So next items here, I got a couple things that came to me. This comes from Richard, and Richard is in New Zealand. So these came a long, long way from down in the southern hemisphere in the beautiful country of New Zealand. Never been there. Always wanted to go to New Zealand. Heard wonderful things about New Zealand. But anyway, these are some items he sent along, and these are all empirical in inches. I'm sure everything down there is probably in metric these days. But anyway, got a set of little ignition wrenches here. These Dexwall, DXWALL. Or is that Oxwall? Maybe that's Oxwall. Oxwall Home and Auto wrench set. And just a little small wrench set here goes from about, what is that, 7/32 up to 3/8 of an inch. And also here is a Starrett thread gauge, and again this is in inches. It's not metric. So yeah, it's definitely not metric, but anyway, again, two nice items that we can definitely put to use. You know, these here are handy. I got one out of the museum. I'm gonna probably put this in my toolbox here at the house, so I'll have a good thread gauge here at the house. So Richard, thanks a lot. These traveled a long way to get to me, and I appreciate very much you sending these over from New Zealand. And maybe one day I can get over there and come visit you. I'd love to do that. Thanks a lot. So another question that has come up was about the drawbar in this head. So this you've got this bar that goes all the way down through it that basically tightens up onto your 40 taper tooling here like such. It tightens up on that socket, and that draws that up tight and holds that this taper in place on the bottom. And I think someone was missing this piece on there. So anyway, we'll bring this over to the table and get some measurements. Let you take a look at it. So let's see what we got here. This main shaft here is 625, so it'll be 5/8 inch material that this part is made out of. The total length on it is about 12.5 inches. See, this is 5/8 11 on the top and bottom that are threaded. You can see it comes down to about 11.5 inches, and it actually down here at the bottom, this root goes down to 1/2 inch. That's 1/2 inch 13 on the bottom. So you got about 1 inch of 1/2 inch 13, and it goes to 5/8 11. And again, the total length on it is about 12.5 inches, and the 5/8 is about 11.5 inches. That threaded section there is about 3 inches on the bottom, about 4.5 inches on the top. And you got two nuts going on here. So this one here is pinned to the shaft. There's a tapered pin that goes through it right here. And what is that? Inch 265. Anyway, that's about 7/8 tall. This is 1 inch in diameter. This one here, that one is 1.25 inches hex, and that goes down to 925 on that diameter. Total length there is 1 inch 200 thousandths, and the head is 575 thousandths. So hopefully, if you're needing to make one of those, you got what you needed there, and you can duplicate that. I may end up making a new one myself. This one here got a couple of threads stripped out on the very bottom down here. It works, but when I rebuild that head, I may actually just go ahead and make me a new one as well. Next thing we got here is another viewer appreciation box. Came in from Douglas Maxwell, and Douglas sent a couple things. First off, a nice little Craftsman box here. Dial test indicator. When you open it up, there is indeed a little dial test indicator in here. It's seen its better days, but it's all there. It looks like it needs a spring or something in here. Probably needs to be sent off and just gone through. But it's nice. Has some a little flyer here with accessories that you could get for it. Doesn't look like it's got any of the mounting arms or anything like that in there. But anyway, it looks like a nice little indicator. Not sure who made this. You know, Craftsman didn't make anything. They bought everything and basically rebashed it. You know, it kind of looks like it might be Federal or Brown and Sharp or something like that. So maybe we can see about getting this fixed. He also sent along, he sent a picture of this. This is really the main thing he was sending. And when he sent a picture, he kind of had me stumped in the picture. It's obviously a taper. It's got a taper on the inside. And, you know, my first thought was, well, it's a Morse taper adapter. But it's obvious that this is a number 5 Morse taper. In fact, just for comparison, here's a number 5 Morse taper shank. And you can see it's the right size. But what really kind of was throwing me was that I know that a number 5 taper is much longer than that. And I said, well, I'm not quite sure what that could be. But once I got it here and got looking at it, what it is a number 5 to number 3 Morse taper reducer. And you say, well, why is it not as long as a number 5 taper? Well, the reason is when you look at a number 3 shank and you put a number 3 in there, that's all that you need. You don't need the whole length of the number 5. You just need enough to support the area that number 3 is in. So this adapter is just however long that is. And then this way the tang sticks out the end where you can knock it off real easily. So I've never seen one quite like this, but it really makes sense now that I kind of look at it. And I don't have any number 5 adapters. I got a bunch of, you know, number 4 to whatevers and number 3s to 2s and 1s and all the miscellaneous combinations that you can come up with. But that's the first adapter I've got for a number 5 Morse taper. And probably going to be needing that soon. Hint, hint, hint. So, So anyway, very good. That's going to actually stay in my possession. I told him I was going to try to figure out what it was, and if I couldn't use it, find a home for it. But I've decided that I'm going to be its home because I am going to have a need for this very soon. So anyway, Doug, thanks a lot for sending those along. Thought I'd show you guys a little project I was working on this weekend. These are a bunch of shades for overhead lights. These are actually some shades that I found, it's been quite a while ago. Actually, I was looking for some porcelain shades to go in a building at the museum that we were putting some lighting in. We were wanting some period lighting to go in the woodworking shop. And we found these. These are not old. These are fairly modern reproductions that we salvaged out of a warehouse that was being modified or renovated. As it turned out, we were able to find some old vintage porcelain ones that we ended up using at the museum. But we had a bunch of these left over, and with me building the shop, I said, you know what, I'm going to use these down that kind of center section to give some lighting in there. Probably going to put some different lights on the 2 sides, but I thought these would look real good. So these were all originally just white top and bottom, but I really kind of like this dark green color for the top. And so I cleaned these things up and got some painted them. And next step is don't have any of the light fixtures that go in here, so I'm going to have to basically put the light socket in there and the cord for them to hang from, and these are going to go in the shop. So anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy seeing that. Trying to use some recycled materials in a couple places in the shop construction, and case in point, right here, where we also recycled some windows that we're going to be using up in the clear story of the buildings. Instead of buying new windows, we got some old wooden sashes and put up there in that area. And some other things too we're trying to do in the shop. So Shop update. It's pretty obvious to tell that we've got some differences from what you saw last week, mostly being the color. They have come out here and put some first coat of stain on this. In fact, they literally just left from applying the stain, and some of this is still wet. So some of that streaking that you see in there is just where we got some overlaps and whatever, and it's just because it's wetter. It should even out some, and we are also going to come back and put a second coat of stain on this probably one day later next week, which will also hopefully even it out. And my wife wants it a little darker, so we're going to make it a little darker. So that's what the second coat should do, is make it a little bit darker. In addition to getting the stain on, they've also come in here and done a bunch of trim work. We had cut some rough cut lumber to trim out the building with, and they went ahead and got that on for the trim work. They got the doors put in, not the roll-up doors, but the walk-through doors. There's 3 of those. And some other little miscellaneous thing. Oh, they got finished getting all the siding on. Still have the clear story to do. There's some flashing material that they got to get out here before they can put that up, and the metal for the roof has been ordered, and the flashing will match the roof, and it hasn't come in yet. So anyway, hopefully that'll get in again this week, and they can get that the wood up on the top and get the windows put up there, and then we'll be ready to put the roof on. We're actually getting pretty close, so hopefully things will continue moving on. We are expecting some more rains and storms coming up again this week. This time of year, you have a couple of days of beautiful weather like we got right now. It's 70-something degrees out here. Cold front will come through, and like you normally see in the Midwest and a little bit later in the spring, and that's when we have our bad weather, is when we go from these 70-degree days, cold front comes through, and a lot of storms, and we're expecting that, I think, Tuesday and Wednesday this coming week. Hopefully they won't be too bad. Let's reposition you. We'll show you some other things going on in there, kind of fill you in on the shop progress. So just another shot here, and you can kind of see where they come in here and actually put the trim on there, and got all that stain in there with it. So kind of up in here between the, right up in here, if I see that right. So we're not going to cover the bottom. We're not going to put any soffits on this. We're going to leave it kind of open, which is the look I wanted. I want it to look like an old barn, not be finished out too nicely. So they had to, it actually took them a good bit of time to get up in there and put those trim boards, having to cut for between every single one of those and put them up in there to finish that out up in there. And then of course, when they're staining it, they had to stain up underneath the bottom of all that. So it's kind of time consuming, but it's coming along real nice. So inside the shop, things are starting to kind of get closed in now. Last week when we shot this, basically the whole backside still didn't have siding on it. We just had, they weren't quite through with that. We've got all that in here now. So people were asking about ventilation and asking about, well, am I going to have my windows where they can open? Well, I would have loved to have had the nice windows that opened up where you could have a, something down here and they swung out like in an old factory, but it was just cost prohibitive, guys. Just quite honestly, it was just cost prohibitive. So we are going to have some windows up there for light. They're not going to open and close because I'm not going to want to have to climb a ladder to get up there to open and close them. But I did back here in the very back up in the top. You see I got a fan, exhaust fan, and the idea is in the summertime when it gets hot in here, the heat's going to go up, and the high ceilings will definitely help just cool the building and just giving that heat a place to go. But then also have some ventilation up there to pull that heat out with that fan. At least that's the idea. Also got some electrical boxes starting to go in here for receptacles and light switches and so forth. Not going to pull any wire or anything until we get a roof on, but while I actually am going to do the electrical work myself in this, I used to work for an electrical contractor, and I'm comfortable doing that, and our codes will allow me to do that. It has to be inspected, of course, before I can turn the power on by the electrician and our inspector. But anyway, I went ahead and started getting some of that done. Still got some boxes and stuff I'll probably be working on in the evenings out here this week, getting all that in here, and hopefully we'll get a roof on this thing soon. With this weather and storms coming in again this week, I know my contractors have got another job they've got to go work on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Probably out due to rain, but they're planning on hopefully be back out here Thursday and Friday, and try to continue working on this. So keep your fingers crossed. So Josie was quite the hit last time when we showed her off. So some of you guys are wanting a little bit closer look at Josie. So anyway, say hey, Josie. Surprised everybody likes the cat so much, but I've kind of grown partial to this one. And some people have been calling her my South Georgia swamp panther. So that's what I've been, every time I look at her, I say, you look like a swamp panther. So anyway, that's all for now, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.